You are welcome to yet another edition of Royal Atlantis weekly presentation. Today, I'm your host, Lazarus Ahangba, the program director for the head office here in Makurdi, Benue State. Today, we'll be talking on the peace. We'll be talking on the topic peace building as a panacea for sustainable development. Today's topic is designed to commemorate the World Peace Day, or the World International Day of Peace, that was held on the 21st of September 2019, which took place a few days ago. So more or less, this program today, or this presentation today, is in retrospect of the celebration of the International Day of Peace, which was held a few days ago. So, like I said in the beginning, the topic for today is peace building as a panacea for sustainable development in Nigeria. But before we go any further, it will be good if we have a background information or a background knowledge of what we are talking about. First of all, let us begin to ask ourselves exactly what does peace mean? What is peace? When we talk about peace, what does peace entail? Peace is a term that is relative like any other issue in life. For me, if you ask me, I would say peace is the absence of violence, is the absence of conflict, and the absence of disharmony. So what I'm saying in essence is that peace is the presence of total harmony, freedom from conflict, and every other thing else. Somebody else defined peace as the concept of societal friendship and harmony in the absence of hostility. So what they are saying in essence is that where there is no hostility, where there is no conflict, where there is no disharmony, that is a state of peace. And you agree with me based on that definition today that this is what the world needs today. Peace and nothing else. Peace becomes the cornerstone for everything else we are doing in the world today, and in Nigeria in particular. Now, having said that, we all know that every international day that is being celebrated has a theme to it, has a theme that regulates or that streamlines the issue of advocacy. Because remember, every day is being set aside as a vehicle for advocacy towards a particular issue, and the International Day of Peace is not independent of that. So, what was the concept or the theme? The theme for this year is climate peace tied around climate change. Peace as a vehicle for climate change. Now, if peace is actually, so one will begin to wonder exactly what is relative. What's the relationship between climate change and peace, and how does climate change affect peace? We all know very well that climate change is one of the major issues in the SDGs. Particularly, it is couched under SDG 13. The SDG 13 talks about climate. The World Peace Day. The topic for this year's World Peace Day is climate for change, and you can relate that to SDG 13, which is a call for immediate action by all to lower greenhouse emissions and build resilience and improve education on climate change. Now, that is what the SDG 13 is about. It's all about promoting climate change, and we are saying climate action for peace. Now, the climate action for peace is saying that all peoples of the earth, all peoples of the world, including government, including organizations, individuals, and everybody involved, should take action towards promoting climate change. And the promotion of climate change here is rested on two major issues. It's all about lowering greenhouse emissions and finding ways of promoting renewable energy, because these are the two major issues that are causing depletion in the ozone layer and bringing about so much havoc as an effect of the climate change. So, as it is today, one will say, what are the climate change issues in Nigeria? Because we are talking about Nigeria as a country. So what are the climate change issues in Nigeria? Somebody will say climate change is not a Nigerian issue. Of course it is. Now, how is it a Nigerian issue? We have climate change is affecting Nigeria all over, from the north down to the south, from the east all to the west. We have issues that we are experiencing in Nigeria. Now let us start with the northeast, the most troubled part of Nigeria. One asks, what are the climate change issues in the northeast? Of course, we are all aware of the receding of the Lake Chad. Lake Chad, as we all know, is a lake that borders between Nigeria and the Republic of Chad. And that lake served as a resource for farming. It served as a resource for vegetation. It served as a resource for occupation. It served as a resource for transportation and so many other socio-economic activities within that region. Now, it's been said that Lake Chad has receded to a point that is almost dry, and being dry right now, it's beginning to affect so many things. First of all, agricultural output has been affected very much in that northeast. Farming has declined by a considerable percentage within that region. Fishing is almost at a zero level. Nothing is going on around that area due to the receding of Lake Chad. And just beyond the immediate surroundings of the Lake Chad, the vegetation around that region is also depleting so very fast. And it has now forced a situation whereby vegetation is now drying out, and herdsmen are beginning to move southwards, downwards in search of greener pastures. And you can now see the co-relationship between the pressure on farmlands by herdsmen and the local farmers. And of course, you and I know so very much about the recurring decimal of farmers-herdsmen clashes in Nigeria that has led to loss of lives and loss of that. You can now relate that to climate change. Now, beyond just the Lake Chad and this devastating effect that we have just outlined above, we can also look at the issue of desert encroachment. The Sahara Desert is encroaching and encroaching and encroaching, and the encroachment of the Sahara Desert is beginning to have effect on the loss of land and begin to make the land much more arid and less productive, which is in effect now affecting the aggregate agricultural produce within the northern region. And this can be directly tied to climate change. And this, of course, can lead to discussion of peace as we know it in northern Nigeria. And beyond the northern Nigeria, let's come down to the middle belt. In the middle belt, we are having issues of deforestation. People are cutting down trees and turning them into farmlands. And of course, we all know that we are living in an ecosystem where the trees are a very poor part of the climate of the climate. So when we begin to chop down trees and turn them to farmlands, we are beginning to cause some climate issues, and of course you know that. And if you move further down the south, in the southeast particularly, we are having issues of erosion. Erosion is taking over the southeast. We have in states like Anambra, Ebonyi, and other southeastern states, erosion is completely taking over, and of course that is causing so much pressure on social peace and harmony within that region. And if you move down south, that we are talking about the south-south region now. Of course, we know about the oil pollution, we know about the gas flaring issues, we know about all these things, and these things are causing so much socio-economic pressure on the people. And of course, these socio-economic pressures are leading to the further pressure on peace, and that's why we are having so much of crisis within this region. So you can now agree with me that there's a direct relationship between climate action and world peace. So we are addressing this issue today so that we can begin to look at climate change issues locally in Nigeria here, and how we can begin to work towards changing that narrative. So how do we begin to address the issues of how do we begin to take action, climate actions that will promote peace in Nigeria? Let us go back to the issue of the northeast. In the northeast, there, I remember very well that the federal government was trying to build what it called the Sahara, the northeast Great Green Wall of the Sahara, the Great Green Wall of the Sahara. That was a project of the federal government, and that project was supposed to be a project whereby over 15,000 trees were supposed to be planted from Kebbi State down to Borno State. was supposed to stretch over over 1,000 over 1,500 kilometers of land in space and over 5 kilometers in width, and it was supposed to contain about 15,000 trees that would stretch within that land. It was supposed to be a wall, and that land was supposed to like help in the ecosystem. It was supposed to like bring down the effect of this of desert encroachment and begin to control the effect of the aggregate effect of the change in that. And then down south in the southeast, we are looking at the ecological fund in the issues of erosion and all that. We are looking at the ecological fund where government of these areas can begin to take deliberate action in the utilization, in the effective and prudent utilization of the ecological fund, of which the federal government said. Because we are all aware that every state receives some form of subvention from the federal government under the ecological fund to fight issues of erosion and other ecological issues. So, if we are having enormous erosion in these states, it could be that there is no prudent utilization of this ecological fund. Even if where the ecological fund is not enough, then it rests with the policymakers and leaders of those places to begin to find initiatives whereby more funds can be allocated to fighting erosion issues within the southeast region. Tapping from the ecological fund, they can begin to call, they can begin to make policies, we take decisive action, we take decisive decisions that will deal with the ecological issues with attention on erosion in the southeast. And then about places like Anambra State, places like Ebonyi State, and other parts of the northeast, and other parts of Nigeria as well, where erosion and other environmental issues are beginning to cause a lot of social disharmony and crisis in these areas. And of course, the same goes with the south-south. We are talking about oil pollution. What efforts are we actually? And understand recently the federal government gave out a contract for a clean of Ogoni land. But it's not just about Ogoni land; it's all about the entire south-south. Efforts will be made by government where a proper clean up of the south-south or the Niger Delta as it is, a total clean of the Niger Delta, and of course the issue of gas flaring. Nigeria is one of the few countries in the world that is still involved in high-level gas flaring. And of course, we know that gas flaring is one of the major contributors of the greenhouse emissions. So it is about time we begin to take decisive actions. There are so many declarations, the Kyoto Declaration, and a lot of other environmental declarations, of which Nigeria is a signatory. So it is time that we begin to make laws, begin to take deliberate actions, begin to commit our resources towards ensuring that we are taking climate action for peace. So that is that as concerned that. And let us take a second look at our topic for discussion. We say promoting peace as a panacea for sustainable development. Now let's go beyond climate change and look at other issues bothering peace building in Nigeria. We all know that Nigeria is at its lowest level right now in terms of insecurity, in terms of peace, in terms of harmony. Nigeria is involved in so much of insecurity, issues of Boko Haram, issues of kidnapping, issues of farmers' herdsmen crisis, issues of all sort of social issues, banditry, gunmen, everything put together. So we are at about the lowest level of our lives now in Nigeria. So beyond all the climate change issues, we are also using this platform now to begin to talk about efforts by government and peoples of Nigeria towards seeing to it that peace is being built and developed in Nigeria. Kidnapping is fast becoming, in Benue here for instance, kidnapping is fast becoming a norm. We hear of people being kidnapped and even killed, even when ransoms are being paid. Not recently, or about a day back, where the news filtered into town where a mass grave was discovered in a certain village where bodies were found in graves that had been dug by bandits who specialize in kidnapping people and killing them, even when ransoms are being paid by the families of these people. And that is just a case in point. All over Nigeria, we're talking about kidnapping. We hear about buses being hijacked on the highway. Kaduna Abuja highway is about the most unsafe highway in the world right now. Unfortunately, yes, you had me right. Abuja Kaduna highway is about the most unsafe highway in the world today, where kidnappings occur on that road an average of every 15 minutes. People are being kidnapped on that road and killed, and families are being made to pay ransoms. So what are we doing about this? This day is a day on calling on the authorities, security agencies, government, the legislature to begin to put very, very concrete or deliberate action towards promoting peace in Nigeria. We shouldn't be doing political peace building. We should seek to be doing concrete, evidential, result-oriented action towards building peace in Nigeria. Recently, a young man was arrested in Bukari, and he was said to be a major kidnapper in that area. That case is now becoming one of the so many cases in Nigeria where we hear someone is arrested and then nothing is heard about it. We want to know what is happening to Babadune's case. We heard about big names being mentioned, and then nothing has been done about Babadune. I was reading the papers the other day that the National Assembly is beginning to talk about probing NGOs and issues of security. And I laugh, is that the accurate way to begin to tackle issues of insecurity in Nigeria? We should begin to look at concrete, strategically, scientifically proven ways through which peace can be built in Nigeria. This day, World Day of Peace, is a clarion call, is a call by the United Nations, by the world as a whole, to take stock of what we have been doing. Matter of fact, it's been said that on this day, the United Nations call upon all parties involved in conflict to cease hostilities for at least 24 hours and take stock. And we are also doing the same on this day in Nigeria. We are calling on government, we are calling on security agencies, we are calling on Nigerians, we are calling on everybody that we should take a moment, just one moment, and look at our peace architecture in Nigeria. What is our security architecture in Nigeria? Why is it that upon all the huge amount of monies being budgeted for security, nothing is going for the better? Rather, our security situation is worsening by the day. Yet, we budget trillions on security. Chief executives at all levels, federal, state, and local government, sign what they call security votes every month from the federal allocation. And unfortunately, nobody knows how much this money is because it's not subject to probe. So they have the right to do what they want to do with it. Regardless of the so much or the God knows how much they collect in name of security vote, our security situation is worsening by the day. Now we are calling on government at all levels, from local government to the federal government, to take a day off their schedules and think strategically how we promote peace in Nigeria. Peace in our local government, peace in our state capitals, peace at the federal level. Yes, government has done so much. We must appreciate that, of course, there was a time in Nigeria where bombing of buildings was a common sight. Even Abuja, the United Nations building Abuja was bombed. Yes, so one can say that in the absence, in the area of insurgency, as it is, there is a little bit of improvement in areas of insurgency. But what about banditry? What about kidnappings? What about farmers' segments crisis? These are still disharmony. These are still pieces of disharmonies in our societies. So they are not very different from the insurgency we are talking about. Matter of fact, insurgency was concentrated in a particular region, northeast and some few pockets of states. But this banditry now is nationwide. When our people travel, we hold the lines, calling every 5 minutes to know where they are. Where are you now? Oh, I am at this place now. Glory be to God. When they disembark, when our people travel and we don't hear from them 2-3 hours, everybody is panicked. And when the phone rings, when we see a strange number, we are afraid to pick. Because we don't know who is going to call us and say, we have your son or your daughter in captivity. Please bring this amount of money. Today we are celebrating World Day of Peace. Let us begin to build actions that will sustain peace in Nigeria. For we as lawyers alert, we are recommending the following ways through which peace can be built in Nigeria. One, and the most important, is community policing. We have always said that, and we are saying it again. Community policing to us is one of the surest ways through which peace can be built in Nigeria. And again, at this point, we say, what is community policing? Community policing is a system of security intervention where the people of a community are working in tandem, in harmony with the security agents. If in a village where, like that village I'm talking about, where mass grave was found, if there was an effective community policing system in that village, those kidnappers wouldn't have had the luxury of building graves where they can be dumping bodies. Of course, it have been uncovered a long time. That Kaduna Abuja highway that we say is the most unsafe road in the world right now, there are people living along those roads. If there was an effective community policing in that on in and around that road, there are people within that area who will fish out who is involved in doing what. So we are not saying our security agencies are not doing enough. They are doing quite well, but they need help, and this help can only be achieved through the involvement of the locals in security architecture of Nigeria. So we need legislation to that effect. We need the federal government to pass the legislation to that effect. The National Assembly, that is. We need the state assemblies to pass legislation to that effect, where there will be a legal framework that will regulate community policing in Nigeria. That's one. Another way through which peace building can be enhanced for sustainable development in Nigeria is through the creation of jobs for the teeming youths. There are way too many youths in Nigeria that are idle. Way too many youths who are educated and there are no jobs. Way too many youths who have got skills but no capital to start their businesses. Way too many youths that are just out there lazing around. And this is a keg of gunpowder. It's about time government at all levels begin to look out for ways through which these youths can be gainfully employed. We're not talking about 9 to 5 jobs. Skill acquisitions. Improving the socio-economic structure of the till today we are battling with electricity. Up to today we don't have roads in Nigeria. So how can businesses thrive? The socio-economic structure of Nigeria is designed in such a way that everything starts and ends with government, because the socio-economic facilities, socio-economic structures are dead. So these are ways through which insecurity can be addressed, beginning to empower youths through job creation, not just employment. The issue of job creation will be left in the hands of federal government alone. Government is doing this thing that they are paying youths nowadays. What are state government doing about that? State governments are not replicating such structures where youths can be gainfully employed. And of course, this is having an effect on the security architecture in Nigeria. Local governments are dead. We don't even know whether they are there. So these are the issues, and these are the issues we are saying that can be addressed, where it will now lead to sustainable peace and development in Nigeria. Another way peace can be is to have a summit where the major players in Nigeria can come together and say, okay, this is what we think. Every state, every local government should hold a peace summit. Local government should hold a peace summit where the sons and daughters and other local government can come together and say, this is how we are going to fight the insecurity in our local government. By the time every local government in Nigeria, by the time the 774 local governments in Nigeria come together with their own peace architecture, I want to believe insecurity in Nigeria will be reduced by half. So let us begin to make deliberate efforts towards creating peace and sustaining peace in Nigeria. It starts with all of us, in our homes, in our communities. It is on this note that we'll be drawing this discussion to a hold. But before we go, we are saying that peace is defined as a state of total harmony. And this state of total harmony can be achieved on all spheres. And we are saying that from climate change to socio-political dynamics, peace can be sustained, peace can be built and sustained in Nigeria and beyond. On this note, I want to thank you so much for taking your time to be with us on this program. I want to remind you that Wise Alert holds these such forums weekly. So we are inviting you to watch we are inviting you to another edition of it by next week. And on this note, I want to say thank you for watching and goodbye.